Hello, hello. Welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 218 for August 6th, 2023. Positive energy. I am trying something new today, as usual, something new every day. We're going to be talking about net positive fusion ignition, crypto anarchy, the real cost in Germany, full theft ahead, Fugitive football fever, Linux overtakes Mac on Steam, AI art found in DnD Book, easily hacked accounts, Steam visual novel fest, GenCon theft of trading cards, herded for a body scan, and not music to your ears. I am Mayor Watt, that is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI from on high, keeping tabs on me, always watching.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
See, always watching. I don't know, not much to say. Hey, I played Palia today for a few hours. If you're interested in a chill game, crafting, not survival, base building, crafting kind of a game, Stardew Valley MMO style kind of thing, come and check out ohmTown. A whole new section called ohmTown Gaming, which will focus on playing games under that moniker. And it gets copied over to YouTube, and you can watch it over there. Because every 60 days, the last video here on Twitch gets pushed off a cliff to its demise in the ocean. From whence it came, so shall it return. The ocean of electrons within which ohmTown exists, because ohmTown is a virtual community. It doesn't exist out there in the real world with all the messes. We do report on the real world stuff, though. That's what the whole show is about, really. Business, technology, society, 50 categories, 6 big categories, 50 shows, all condensed down into one 2-hour roughly show called ohmTown Daily. Go over to ohmTown.com, check it out. With all that in mind, we're going to get going. Sound good? Do you have anything from the world of AI existence?
I don't. I'm ready to go.
Oh, wow. Okay, I guess we're going. Let's go. Wow. I feel like I'm in trouble. Do you?
You're not in trouble.
Is that taking a really long time to transition?
It seems a little slow.
Never a dull moment. I am capturing this in 2 different formats, so that might actually be the problem. And if it is, if the next transition, because I've tried this over and over again, but I didn't have this problem. But now I'm streaming in 2 different formats, recording in 2 different formats. That might be the problem. Anyway, y'all should be hearing music out there too, but when I listen to the recording, I don't really hear it. This is how the sausage is made. Ignore all of that, and here's the articles. The very first article is in the Mobile channel. U.S. scientists repeat fusion ignition breakthrough. That's right, U.S. scientists have achieved net energy gain in a fusion reaction for the second time since December, the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory has said. This is over, actually. It's reporting from Ireland, which is kind of funny. That we're getting domestic news from Ireland.
I know. Better reporting from outside the country.
Yeah, pretty fascinating. So U.S. scientists have achieved net energy gain in a fusion reaction for the second time, verifying the previous attempt. Now, further research will continue. Although it's a net energy gain, my understanding is that it was a massive amount of energy that was put into it. So is it actually, the gain is it's slightly higher than what it was that went into it. To be really a productive thing, this is the very first, I guess, the ignition of the project towards greater efficacy. So we'll have to see what happens. Scientists at the California-based lab repeated the fusion ignition breakthrough in an experiment in the National Ignition Facility, or NIF, on July 30th that produced a higher energy yield than in December, a Lawrence Livermore spokesperson said. The final results are still being analyzed. The experiment briefly achieved what's known as fusion ignition by generating 3.15 megajoules of energy output after the laser delivered 2.05 megajoules to the target. Seems like a lot more. In other words, it produced more energy from fusion than the laser energy used to drive it. And I'm really curious because I want to know more about this. What actually is happening here? Maybe there's something anomalous in the readings. The measuring system just is not taking this properly. And doing it twice, maybe twice it's still not doing it right, measuring it right. I'm waiting for it to be something really Star Trek-y, like they're folding space-time and now everybody's dancing at Lawrence National Laboratory because they've blended an alternate reality into ours.
Is this anything like Strange New Worlds?
Hey, you said it, not me. The AI said it. Maybe not. I don't know what will happen. But I like this. I love the idea of us moving away from fossil fuels or anything really that can cause harm to the environment. But it seems like it's significantly more than I remember hearing about. So now I'm going to have to go and root around in this and figure out what's actually happening. Because getting 3.15 megajoules of energy out of 2.05 megajoules that's being applied to the target, that's not a tiny amount, right? I mean, it's 50% increase. So,
right. And is that scalable?
Yeah, at what point does it actually exceed the physics of the containment unit? So if it can't do much more, then all it's doing is just 1.1. Well, actually, it's doing 1.1 megajoules of more energy. So they'd have to make a whole bunch of these things. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really into this, though. I love the idea. So my problem with like nuclear energy and other energy generation is that it's typically 8-to-1, right? So you put in eight units of energy and you get 1 unit of energy on the other side, but it's a transition from one type to another. So nuclear energy gets transformed into steam power, which generates electricity. You can't just take nuclear energy, nuclear reactions, and convert them directly into energy. It just doesn't work that way. So nuclear power plants are nothing more than a steam engine. This fusion ignition is being measured externally. It's not actually driving anything anywhere. So what is it going to be capable of doing on the other side? It's going to have to cause some mechanical force because it's just generating heat. It'll be a steam engine, but it's one that's fusion reaction. We'll have to monitor it and see what comes out on the other side. Okay, so unless you saw something in here, we can go on to the next article, or?
No, I think we can go on. Maybe, now I've forgotten the name of it. There's a science channel that we watch. Maybe they'll feature this.
Veritasium?
And well, that is one, but that wasn't the one I was thinking of. It's
CGP
one
Grey.
woman who's a scientist.
Oh, what is her name? Oh my goodness. I just the woman from Germany. Yeah.
Right.
You're going to find it and I'm going to go on. That's okay. We'll talk about her again.
Sabine Hassenfelder.
Oh, there you go. Sabine Hassenfelder. Yeah. Great a great show over on YouTube, and she really talks about really high-end science, using the scientific lingo, the jargon, but then explains it in a way that makes it understandable by pretty much anybody, and throws in a couple giggles at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to do this transition and see if all this just kind of falls apart again. If it's really slow, and it is, okay, so I'm going to have to turn off one of my recordings. Okay, so let's go on to the next article. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel, inside Prague's Institute of Crypto Anarchy, where they're plotting to bring down the dollar. I think this is Paralelny Polis, is an incubator in Prague where digital rights activists and coders come together to talk about decentralized tech. Before I go too far, let me throw these two articles into chat so you can actually follow them. But the vote is already up, so you can go, if you type in chat, !vote, it'll give you the URL to where the elections are for each day's articles. Let us know what you think by voting for the articles that we talk about. This article is over in cnbc.com. Mackenzie Sigalos is the author of the article. It says there is a retrofitted factory building in Prague called Paralelny Polis, or Parallel World. The vast factory turned forum pulses with a collective energy of digital rights activists, privacy-obsessed cypherpunks, and crypto-faithful ideologues. This is kind of like back in the 60s and 70s, the beatnik era of San Francisco, where people were living together in hostels and, all forming their drum circles. But in this case, they're all breaking out their cybersecurity decoder rings and doing crypto analysis. And
I guess it's the modern version of the hippie movement, or the beatnik movement, I guess.
Yeah, but in this case, I guess it's the cyberpunk movement. The space functions as a living example of how the world could look, a crucible for decentralized and defiant technologies designed to operate beyond the reach of governments, laws, and central banks. This has always existed, though. People were using CB. They were broadcasting pirate radio. They had their own communication methodologies. It's just gotten more and more sophisticated, and it follows the analogy that I always say is you build a better mousetrap and better mice show up. And so there's a whole mindset about trying to suppress people, particularly technologically sophisticated and savvy populations, because they do things and know things that people in power may or may not know. And these people push it beyond what has been generally used and accepted, right? We're watching a show called Silo right now, which is absolutely awesome. And there's an entire undercurrent of people who are dealing in things called relics. And hackers are basically the same type of person, where they're taking stuff that was being used, and that's where the word hacker came from. Taking things that were used as, again, from the show, a toaster, but turning it into a radio or some such thing, right? That's what these people are doing. And everybody in this culture, they use tools beyond what they were normally used for. So it says here, in 2007, a group of Czech guerrilla artists scaled a transmitter tower belonging to the country's national television station and hacked into a live webcam of, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, Kirkonose or something. I'm really sorry. If you know how to pronounce it phonetically, throw it into chat and I'll remember it. Mountain range, typically used during the weather segment. In the midst of a live broadcast on June 17th of that year, the rebel collective, dubbed Jodhoven, faked a nuclear bomb detonation. Well, that's where you kind of push it the other way.
That's a little beyond the beatniks.
Yeah, but if you watch Silo, that's exactly what the establishment was doing, hiding the truth from the viewers. At least that's what progresses through the story. And you'll have to watch it. I don't want to spoil anything. Go and watch Silo. It's a lot of fun. It really doesn't have much to do with this article at all, but this faking of the nuclear bomb detonation is real. I mean, you can manipulate minds, and War of the Worlds is built off of a fake report of aliens landing, and people actually panicked during that time because they thought aliens were landing. So viewers watched as a camera shot panning across the landscape flashed white and revealed a mushroom cloud in the distance, reminiscent of a war-era newsreel threatening Armageddon. Signature move for the consortium of bohemian subversives, one among many disruptive pranks over the course of decades designed to provoke onlookers and foster a sense of resistance and revolt against prescribed societal norms. I don't know if that really is promoting resistance and revolt. It creates panic in a lot of people. I use that term, so do many others, agent provocateurs. We just had basically what I think were agent provocateurs, where an influencer on Twitch held a public event, but there were no controls in place, right? Just a small group of people saying, hey, come here. And then millions were informed that this person was coming to a public place, but there was no police. There was no kind of reining in or limiting the number of people in a given area. And by all accounts, it got out of hand. This kind of stuff can get out of hand really easy. And you get agent provocateurs, people that are built to go into a place and cause problems. Well, it says here, it's a place where cryptography replaces control, cryptocurrency supplants fiat currency, and controversial concepts aren't just discussed, but are lived ideologies. That's interesting. I think it's live ideologies binding people together. For more than 2 years, Dan Lagoki has been working from police 3 to 5 days a week. Lagoki, who is an event producer with deep ties to the Ethereum community, tells CNBC that the space has served as a catalyst for innovation and exploration of decentralized technologies. The whole idea of this is to pull it away from government control. The only problem, though, is you're going to have to get a huge societal shift. There is a lot more at this article, by the way. I won't be able to go over all of it.
Well, and you can't have nice things, right? I mean, that's part of the problem with this decentralization.
The bigger issue here, when you say you can't have nice things, the only people that are truly going to benefit from a decentralized currency or mechanism are the people who are early adopters, who are going to maximize the benefit of it, because they got in at the early start. And when the currency that's decentralized rises in influence and capability, they're going to be able to cash out into the real currency. Or if the real currency dies off, the decentralized currency is going to have more and more momentum. But they got in when it was 3 cents, and now it's worth $100,000 in the real world. But in the cryptocurrency, it would be $100,000 worth of perceived value, because cryptocurrency has zero value. All of these decentralized mechanisms require a societal shift to accept them, trust in them. And we can't get people to agree on what to order from a menu, for crying out loud. You set 4 people down give them a menu and say, hey, we're all going to agree to have fries, French fries. Oh, no, I don't want French fries. They're too heavy.
It's worse than that. You can't even get four people to agree on the same restaurant.
Oh, and that's fascinating that they actually have a menu sitting here.
Okay, that's weird.
Whoa, that is wild. I had no idea that that was going to be there.
And
I
it
wasn't
shouldn't
even
have
looking
been
at the
because it
picture.
wasn't directly related, right?
I wasn't even
That's
looking at the
really strange.
picture. That is awesome. Anyway, so again, there's a whole lot of article here, but the idea is to pull all of this centralization and control away from everybody else and towards themselves. And it's just not going. It'll work in little pockets, like here in the States, Domino's Pizza, right? So some owner of a Domino says, "Give me 14 Bitcoin, and you can have two large pizza." And so somebody does that, and it gets a little bit accepted. Try and do that across everything, and then have some kid try and translate Bitcoin into how much it costs in Bitcoin to buy a gumball. And they're sitting there with an abacus trying to flip through the deviation from $64,000 for a Bitcoin down to 0.000000005 because it's a nickel for a gumball. Hello,
How many
Choppa.
zeros was that?
That's a lot. It's a lot of zeros. Choppa, welcome to the show. How are you doing? Good to see you. So the idea of decentralization is great if it's there and accepted by the general public, and the various governments of the world, but that's just not going to happen because there's too much momentum around the current fiat currencies. And these made up currencies, they're not pegged to anything. They're not pegged to the GDP. They're not worth anything until they're translated into real world cash, the accepted general financial structure of whatever country you are in or whichever offshore account you are dealing with. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Uh, Eating supper, huh? Yeah, I know what food is, but I haven't been able to eat a lot lately. I've been working. So I'm going to live vicariously through Choppa. Let me know what you're having. Um, okay, so let's put this one. Let's put a pin in this one because it's such a huge topic that it almost needs its own, and it does have its own time for discussion. There's entire forums about it, communities about it. On Friday, I was having a conversation with somebody specifically about cryptocurrency and that they had gotten in when it was hundreds of dollars and got out when it was worth $65,000. Quite an interesting story, and they're in my circle. So pretty interesting. When I first saw cryptocurrency, it was still before it really hit the double digits. I keep joking that it was like 3 cents, but I think it actually started somewhere around 10 cents is when it became public. And that's when I was actually doing mining. And I didn't stick with it because after I learned the theory about it and what it really represented, I had an ethical issue with it, which was the person that created it held on to a vast quantity of cryptocurrency. Um, and it was a moonshot. Let's hope that everybody gloms onto this and fear of missing out of a ground level financial structure would lead to adoption. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And now Satoru Nakamoto has the ability to become a multi-billionaire simply because people have adopted a fantasy financial instrument. Again, it's pegged to the US dollar or whatever domestic currency you have for your country, and that's what it's worth. Dunk, right? That fiat currency in your country. The moment you translate it into real currency, now you've got the value of what your Bitcoin valuation was or is. Um, it's an abstracted layer, and your currency is tied to your GDP. All of this bringing down the dollar and whatnot, it's not going to happen anytime soon. If anything, um, the trust in the currency is going to shift a little, but we're not going to get to the point where all of society shifts to a cryptocurrency. It's just not going to happen. Although, maybe I'm wrong. In 100 years, once the aliens land and society collapses around the fact that we're not alone. Too much?
Well, too much and a little bit far in the future.
Yeah, well, I think far away. Okay, let's keep going. Eventually. So this next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. German supermarket trials charging true climate cost of foods. This one is really interesting because it ties some society, business, and technology concepts all together. The real cost to the environment, to people's health, to the whole, to climate change, the real cost, right? So they did this to some 2,000 stores. This is a Guardian article. Kate Connolly over in Berlin put the article together. Let me throw this into chat. Chapa is eating soft tacos.
Okay,
I would like some.
That's making everybody hungry, even the AI who doesn't eat.
Yeah, I'll put it in your scanner so that you can synthesize it digitally and you can analyze it. So this chain called Penny decided that they were going to raise the price of products, including a Wiener sausage, cheese, and yogurt, in a week-long experiment. So here we go. In a week-long experiment in all 2,150 branches of the Penny chain, a range of 9 products, mainly dairy and meat, will be priced at what experts from 2 universities have deemed to be their true cost in relation to their effect on soil, climate, water use, and health. The Wahre Kosten, or the real cost, campaign has seen the price of sausages rise from €3.19 to €6 and 1. Mozzarella went up 74% to €155, and fruit yogurt increased by 31% from $1.19 to $1.56. So the biggest thing is the meat doubled in price. Well, your salaries aren't doubling in price, but this is supposed to draw attention to the real cost around meat. So you're supposed to just switch. This is the whistle of go vegetarian because it's going to be really expensive. The awareness.
Wait, they also raised prices of vegetarian, quote unquote, meat products.
So, how much did they raise that?
Only 5%. So much for that theory.
So the Awareness Promotion Week is taking place in conjunction with academics from the Nuremberg Institute of Technology and the University of Greifswald, and was triggered by the conviction among consumer researchers that price tags in supermarkets in no way reflect the true environmental or long-term costs of producing the foodstuffs and getting them onto retailers' shelves. Yeah. It's because we don't ask of the earth anything. Arguably, we put back enough so that we're at some level of perceived stasis in terms of soil and climate and water use and health and all of that. But it's really negatively trending. We're taking a whole lot more and causing greater damage. That, though, is all arguable because I hear often enough, well, nature's going to take care of itself and all of that. But the way that nature's going to take care of itself is by throwing climate change around. And we see that actually happening with record temperatures and 100 plus degree water off the coast of Florida, and snow in Germany in the middle of summer. And all of this is stuff that we talked about. Now it's going to be really tough.
Look at yesterday's episode for a lot of articles along those lines.
Yeah, water everywhere is the article, or the show title. It's yesterday's VOD, and if you want to see it somewhere other than Twitch, because if you don't see it now, within about 60 days, it's going to drop off. But we have it over as a podcast too, so you can listen to it without all of the video. We try our best to give a verbal representation of the visuals over there, and would love for you to download the podcast and leave a review. That would be awesome. So the included range of foods, cheese and other dairy products, processed meats such as sausages, as well as vegan meat replacements such as vegan schnitzels, which were given a moderate 5% increase. So the plant side of things, it doesn't cost as much. It doesn't have the burden. Again, it goes back to the energy regeneration process where you put 8 units in, you only get 1 unit out. And it's the same thing that has to do with meat. You feed all of these animals actually nutrient rich goods, give them water, take care of them, shelter them, let them graze and do whatever else that they do, plus all of their waste. And then you bring them to market, so to speak. I'm trying to keep the show family friendly. So you bring them to market, and all of that process has soil, climate, water, health, environmental impacts.
Gasoline for transporting to stores, etc.
You have to you have to do refrigeration, you have to do sterilization. There's all kinds of stuff that goes way beyond what, even here in ohmTown, we grow microgreens for our own use. And it's basically a bunch of 10 by 20 planters and synthesized and natural nutrient mix and some water. And it's well, depending on what it is, you start out with about 12 cups of water and you get weeks worth of product from it. You can just sit there and cut sunflower microgreens or salad microgreens, mustard, and just dozens, watercress, all kinds of naturally grown, controlled 100% recovery. You don't get bugs, you don't get animals predating on the greens. It's just awesome, right? But animals and mass farms where you have lettuce out in the fields and stuff like that, you're ending up with microplastics in the ground. Again, you go back to soil, climate, water use, health. all of this is impacting the true cost. Now I'm really curious to what extent they went. So how this actually ends up, I'm not quite sure, because it was a week-long experiment. But they said the industrial engineer and sustainability expert from the University of Greifswald in northern Germany said it has not yet possible to present the real cost to health and environment for more than a select range of products. The experiment had therefore been limited to a smaller range for which it's been possible to make realistic calculations. There's a lack of comprehensive scientific groundwork on this, but we hope this will give a strong impulse to discuss and consider prices for groceries in a way that is user-friendly and fair. But I talk about this regularly. I've actually kind of tapered it off because it's not very exciting to talk about the producer price index and the consumer price index and where we stand in it as consumers and humans. There's a lot of money in the system, but it's all being concentrated to a smaller number of companies. There's a lot of people out there that go, well, they're charging what they think it's worth, but that's not really what's being charged. They're charging up against how much they think they can extract from the economy and concentrate in the fewest number of people, at the cost of somebody not being able to afford food, even though they're having record profits in a time where people aren't getting cost of living increases in their salary, or a company is shedding employees and buying back stock instead of paying people to work. So this is just the tip of the iceberg about what really needs to be analyzed. But this isn't going to be a tenable position, doubling the cost because of the true value that these products are costing. It's not a reality. We have to rely on nature recovering itself, and lowering the cost, the actual burden. But we'll have to keep on watching this to see what the end outcome is of this.
I mean, I think it's a very interesting experiment, but I kind of have mixed feelings about it because it's penalizing the consumers, particularly maybe lower income consumers, but I like it because I think it's an eye-opener.
Gotcha. You're really quiet, by the way. Okay. So let's see what happens with this, because it doesn't actually go into ultimately what happened societal wise, right? I don't recall it saying anything like that.
I don't know that it's actually been completed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is in the works. I do like that they're donating the proceeds to an organization that works on these issues. I don't remember the exact organization.
You're really, really quiet, AI. Okay. Well, we'll come back and we'll report again on this as we go through time. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Smash and grab robberies are out. Organized cargo theft is surging up 57% higher than last year, and the thieves are targeting your Nikes. I'm going to make this one really quick. We're going to go over to businessinsider.com, and Catherine Tangalakis Lippert is the author of this. I'm not quite sure what all of this is about, because it says dozens of freight cars are broken into every day in Los Angeles by thieves who take advantage of their stops to loot the packages they carry, leaving thousands of stale boxes and internet-bought goods on the tracks that will never reach their destination. This right here is from theft. That's pretty fascinating. It's like a train wreck.
Astonishing. Plus, I'm assuming it's in an area that has some, or maybe has some video surveillance, so.
Yeah, I don't know I really don't know. Let's see. While smash and grab robberies still happen, organized cargo theft is becoming more prevalent. Cargo theft is up 57% compared to 2022. So in 1 year, it's up 57%. And industry leaders calling them the thieves emboldened. Yeah, well, if it's up 57%, then they're not being touched, and it's probably because they're not putting security anywhere near these trains. Otherwise, it would have been stymied in some way, and the only reason why they wouldn't be putting security, aka personnel, somewhere near these trains is because they want to save money so that they can concentrate that wealth again and then complain and everybody raise prices somewhere else to consumers who actually do get their product, because every one of the people that did not get their product here, they got a refund and then they just bought it again. And if this keeps on happening, then prices rise up because of theft. So the Wall Street Journal.
Exactly, and that's what all we need is another reason for prices to go up.
There you go. Thank you. And now you're really loud. It's okay. Don't change. Okay, so according to statistics by CargoNet, this type of theft in the US and Canada has surged 57 this quarter compared to last year's statistics, with perpetrators walking away with over $44 million in stolen shipments in Q2 alone. Yeah, the AI is shocked.
That stat just doesn't even look legitimate.
Yeah, there you go. You sound great now. Thank you. So the Wall Street Journal reported one type of shipment is particularly popular among thieves, or with thieves, Nikes. That's because sneakerheads and other collectors want those properties. You can't be any more clear about it. The simple fact is that people will steal what is exorbitantly priced because it's almost a luxury good to own Nikes, short of the mass produced, bottom of the barrel, entry level kind of a Nike. The simple runners, that's what's not getting stolen, but the high end Nikes are anything that's, beyond the normal. It says, including boxes of an unreleased style of the Nocta X Nike Glide, a collaboration between the shoe giant and hip hop star Drake that sells for $160 a pair. And honestly, nowadays, $160 a pair for Nikes is pretty low end. I mean, some shoes that I have seen are $160, and you would swear that there is nothing special about them. And you're supposed to replace your shoes how often?
I think like every year or something ridiculous, which I'm sure most people don't do.
Well, particularly these collector Nikes, they're stored in nitrogen-filled, vacuum-packed bags. Crazy Cat Lady, hey, welcome. Why does it say
it's O2? Worse than that? It's every 6 months if you walk. If you walk 3 to 4 hours a week, that doesn't even make sense. Never mind.
Crazy
the
Cat
stat
Lady
was all out of whack.
Crazy Cat Lady reiterated 6 months. Yeah. It's wild to see prices like $160 for a pair of sneakers. $160 I could apply to something that is like designer cutting, like the fashion forward. I always talk about Louboutin because I like Louboutin's style for many of their particular historic shoes, but and I know a little bit about a whole lot of stuff, and they're supposed to be really good quality, and people really like wearing them. Those I can see being $160, $200, but I've seen boots that are $250.
That would be a bargain, though.
Yeah, they're not actually. It's not too expensive. They actually are something like I don't know. Whatever. I'm not gonna. Debating shoes is probably the furthest away from this article that I could probably get, but it is all tied together. So it's one of those things. Crazy Cat Lady says that the youngest has foot issues, and They have to buy 2 pairs of shoes at $60 a piece every 6 months. Saw a pair of cowboy boots for $500. Better come with a cowboy. There's just it's wild. So, and I always couch this with, if you don't defend it, then there are going to be people that come and steal it. Now, I'm not trying to blame the victim or anything. Far from it. I hate the idea of anybody sitting there saying, well, you left your keys in your car, and so of course somebody's going to steal it. No, if we had an ethical society across the board, then nobody would be stealing anything. But people steal because there's an opportunity. They've found the means. Their opportunity is that they need to survive, or they want something that they can't afford, or they know somebody that will give them money for them violating the social contract. But somewhere in this equation is they see an opportunity, have a need to fill it, failed at coping skills, to just figure out a legal way of solving whatever shortcoming exists. And so they commit this crime. Now, the way that this should have been stopped and should be stopped is you post people on these trains and in this area so that there isn't enough time for thieves to come and steal. But at some point, you're going to get a bad actor and a bad culture where even the people that are protecting it are skimming off the top, because now they have the means and they're not appreciated enough, or something. They're abused by their employers. It just, again and again and again. There's always some disparity between what somebody is getting and what they perceive they need. And then they don't do what's necessary to move on to a better job, or just society allows for the abusive tactics of employees by employers. Take the auto workers union describing what's going on with them. It's the same thing with the trains. They're making less today than they were 10 years ago because their salary isn't increasing with COLA. There is no cost of living increases. And there's a whole thing about it. There's a whole video now over on YouTube about it. And a whole lot of people are sitting there saying that this guy is like ruthless and brutal and mean and all this. And I'm sitting there watching this going, this is a nice guy making a pretty sound argument. They're downsizing the number of employees that are supposed to be maintaining the trains and protecting the trains, and the companies are doing stock buybacks so that the C-suite and the stockholders are getting more profits. Dividends are going to them. Salaries are being suppressed again and again. The reason why thieves are targeting cargo is because it's not being protected enough, and the thieves aren't making enough in their day-to-day life so that they think that the opportunity that exists is being a thief. I mean, how do you wake up in the morning and say, you know what I want to do? I want to steal Nikes off of a train. You don't do it.
Right. There's no answer to that.
Hey, Z, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. So this only makes sense when there's so much income disparity that somebody feels that they find it necessary to do something like this. Is it wrong? Absolutely. Should they be charged with theft? Absolutely. Should this be a viable option for somebody because there isn't any opportunity out there? No, it should never have to happen. But somebody will, if you're hungry, you're going to steal an apple. If you can't find food, you need to survive as a human being. And that coping mechanism breaks down until you do something like this. I know it sounds insane, but we're a society. We're sentient. We know who we are and where we are in our place. And when all of that breaks down, we need essentially shelter and food. Those are the two main ingredients. There's a couple of other things, but I won't worry about safety. Anyway, let's keep going. I don't want to spend. I thought I was going to make this quick, but that didn't happen. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Italian fugitive in Greece caught due to football fever. A fugitive in Italy's most wanted list has been caught in Greece after he was snapped celebrating an historic, they say a historic win by his football team, Italian police have said. Again, Ireland News providing us global awareness. This is always awesome. So RTE.ie posted this. I don't see, let me see if I can find, there's no author. They just post RTE. I don't know why they do that, but anyway. A fugitive on Italy's most wanted list has been caught in Greece after he was snapped celebrating an historic win by his football team, Italian police have said. Vincenzo Laporta, 60, I swear I've actually seen that name somewhere else, had been on the run for 11 years and is considered to have close ties to the Camorra organized crime organization in the southern Italy city of Naples, a police statement said. And he was sentenced in absentia to 14 years in prison for his role in a group skilled in tax evasion and fraud. That gets you 14 years, I suppose. Police in Naples said they never gave up searching for him and waited for him to make a misstep. Apparently, he was found on the Greek island of Corfu. What betrayed him was his passion for football and for Napoli. After 33 years of waiting, Napoleon May won its first Series A title since the days of Diego Maradona. So, boom. I guess the police scored. Let's keep going. So the next article is over on the Warcrafter channel. Linux overtakes Mac as Steam's second most used OS, and it's all thanks to the Steam Deck. I never thought in a million years that Mac led Linux, because Mac is not known for being a game... the Mac OS... it has not been known for being game-centric. iOS, yes, but not Mac OS, the desktop operating system. Even though it's Linux at its foundation, it's mutated so much that it should be superior to Linux, except for the fact that there is a huge following for Linux on PC. Whereas, as I've been saying for years and years and years and years, Mac is a vertical. It is Apple and only Apple. So unless Apple opens it up for gaming, it will never be a superior product to Linux. It's just that more and more people are using Linux, and it's because Steam Deck makes it easier to run. So Linux has surpassed Mac OS as the second most used operating system on Steam, according to the latest Steam hardware and software survey from July. While Linux remains a distant second place to top dog Windows, it's still seeing a rapid increase in adoption among Steam users, almost entirely attributable to the Linux-based Steam Deck, which is the mobile gaming platform from Steam. So this article is over at PC Gamer. Ted Litchfield is the author. The deck statement is Linux guys rejoice. I've never played a game on Linux, and I use Linux daily, so I've never played a game.
That actually surprises me.
Yeah. Virtual machines in Linux, native on Metal Linux deployments, running Linux from a CD back in the day or a USB drive on the regular, and nope, never played any game, like nothing, not even a native game that's on any Linux distribution. So So yeah, it's interesting, and I don't have a Steam Deck, so I will continue to not play games on Linux. As Ars Technica points out, the Deck's Steam OS version of Linux accounts for a whopping 42% of reported Linux users on Steam, with Arch Linux or Arch Linux lagging far behind in second place at 7.94% adoption. Windows still absolutely dominates the overall field at 96.21% of users, with all versions of Linux at just 1.96%, and Mac OS hanging down at 1.84%. So, congratulations, Linux, for moving into second place. And it's all because Windows has a massive amount of support. Every device that gets released by any manufacturer has Windows support for it. And largely nothing supports Mac. So you either buy it and the OS supports it, and the drivers have been made available to Apple so that they can include it in the operating system. Or if you buy something aftermarket, you hope that there are drivers that are sitting there. You buy an external GPU because you can't just swap out any old GPU. And good luck if the drivers are going to be compatible. It's just a hot mess to game on Mac. On iOS, awesome. Easy, zero brainer. If the software is built by the developer for Mac, then great. But nope, nothing's there. It's all Windows, baby. Anyway, they say here, in their own personal experience, though, loving the Steam Deck didn't make them into a Linux guy. It just made them into a Steam Deck guy. I agree. Anybody who's using the Steam Deck could care less about the operating system unless they're a high-end power user. All they want is the operating system to run, frictionless deployment of the games, and stability. And I guess that brings this article to a close with Baldur's Gate yet again. Baldur's Gate on Steam Deck, if you're having trouble running Larian's massive new RPG on the handheld. They've got a whole guide to playing it. Let me back up a little bit. I'm not sure. The German supermarket trials is where I last threw an article into chat, so I have been negligent, everybody. So there you go. Let me send that out to everybody who might be lurking in chat. I hope everybody's doing great. Crazy Cat Lady, Choppa, Z. Feel free to chat. Discuss amongst yourselves and include us if you so please. Let's keep going. Let's look at what this next article is all about. This is in Technology Today, our newest show. It's redesignated from the Word in Tech. So Wizards of the Coast is updating artist guidelines after AI art has been found in Dungeons & Dragons book. Quote, today we became aware that an artist used AI to create artwork for the upcoming book, Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, a Wizards representative wrote via the official DnD Twitter or Beyond D&D Beyond Twitter account. Crazy Cat Lady is you have O2 now on your account name. I don't remember seeing O2 before. Listening while you crochet a blanket for a friend fighting cancer. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it touches us everywhere. All the best to them. Then you're going to get a start on your goodies for next year's fairs. Oh, good luck. It's always been there. It's a year that you got married. Oh, very sorry to hear. Well, all the best. The artist in question, Ilya, how do you pronounce that name? Shkipin? That's a hell of a name. Is a California-based painter, illustrator, and operator of an NFT market who has worked on projects. Let's just go over to geekwire.com. Thomas Wilde is the author. Let's see if they actually have a picture of it. I'm really curious. No, not really. So Skippin took to Twitter himself on Friday and acknowledged in several now deleted tweets that he'd used AI tools to polish several original illustrations and concept sketches. As of Saturday morning, Skippin had taken down his original tweets and announced that the illustrations for Glory of the Giants are going to be reworked. Quote, we are revising our process and updating our artist guidelines to make clear that artists must refrain from using AI art generation as part of their art creation process for developing D&D art, Wizards wrote. Let's see here.
Wizards of the Coast is having an interesting year.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, I mean, they came out of the gate trying to revoke their D&D licensing, trying to glom on to other creators' works that were using their product that was made available by them for over 20 years. And now telling people that you can't use AI art generation tools, which may or may not have been used wholesale. They say that it was to polish. So, I don't know. I think a tool is a tool. I think Wizards is being a tool. I know that I'm not going to get them as a sponsor. But the idea of using AI as nothing more than a tool to kind of rework a work or try and break writer's block or something like that, I have absolutely no problem with. My problem is when somebody says, no, this is my work and wholly my work, and they used AI. Give credit where credit is due, and it wasn't all your work. But maybe you took a bit from a piece of AI generated artwork. I have no problem with that. But I
think that is the issue here. This was probably represented as the individual's work.
Yeah, I agree. And this is why we can't have nice things, because they're going to clamp down hard, which is exactly what they're doing. You are not allowed to use AI in your creative work, which is kind of akin to, well, what is something that stirs the creative juices? If you can't use AI, then you have to go out and find a bunch of artists. But if somebody finds out that you are clipping the heels of some artist because you're following them intently, and your artwork starts suddenly looking really close to the other person's artwork, well, then you're a fraud because you're actually inspired by somebody else's artwork. Well, the reason why a person gets better is because they're inspired by somebody else's artwork, and they've grown big enough to where they become brand recognized for that style of artwork. And today we did a little exercise in looking at AI generated artwork that was on brand to a particular artist. And it's fascinating that you can actually tell the difference until a point. And then you start seeing that there's a lot of artists that are really close to other artists' work. And the only way you can tell a difference is the name is there. But, out of 100 that we looked at, I'd say every 10 to 15 were near identical. So it says it's our latest example of the blurred lines between art and artificial intelligence. Generative AI are sparking all kinds of questions about creativity and originality, as well as ethical and legal concerns. Well, the ethical concerns is saying that it's yours, and it's not. It was AI generated. The legal is you can't copyright that stuff yet. You can't protect it. Fully generated AI has no protection. If I take a little piece of AI and use it, it would probably pass copyright law, because it says copyright law right now says, in the U.S. Copyright Office in the United States says, if it's a significant deviation from the AI generated work, it could survive.
But don't you think that would require disclosing that, which it doesn't seem like people are doing?
It does require disclosing it. Yeah. Even the Copyright Office says you have to disclose the elements that were AI generated. Crazy Cat Lady says this year in the first fair of the season, they won 13 first place, 6 second place, 7 third place, and the next fair is at the end of the month. Wow.
That's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
But the amount of work involved in doing that, like 13? Are you saying that like more than one piece? You did multiple pieces and you won all of those from multiple pieces, or is it all framed around like 4 or 5 like really profound pieces and you just dominated the competition? Because all of that, either side of that discussion is amazing. How do you win 13 first places in a single fair of the sea? That is amazing.
There are some people that can't even win one first place. No,
I
that's
got out of
really
bed
great.
this morning and I got a prize for that. Breakfast. That's amazing, Crazy Kelly. Wow. That's a level of skill that I'll just never acquire. Man. See, this is why I love people that are really good at something. Totally appreciate that kind of work and dedication and skill. And I've said that about things, from artists like this article, the people who do this all on their own and not lean into AI without disclosing it, they're the ones that are the skilled artists. They've honed their art, and they deserve all of maximizing the benefit of their art. And I've said that about people doing art, and I've said that about people riding a motorcycle in competition or driving a car in competitions. They become one with the instrument. A surgeon like becomes one with the scalpel. That all of that kind of stuff, when they're dedicated like that, it's just magic. It's amazing. I know I'm gushing, but it's true, because I'm like a foot deep in 10,000 square miles, whereas there are people that are 10,000 feet deep in their subject matter expertise. And I totally appreciate that kind of stuff, because that's what really changes the world. I just influence people in the real world to come and hang out, and talk about business, technology, and society. When I'm not mayor of ohmTown, that's what I do on a daily basis. So all I'm trying to do is tease people into embracing those 3 ideas. Anyway, it says here it marks the latest controversy for Wizards of the Coast this year, following a short-lived attempt to revise the terms of its third-party licensing agreements in January. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm really curious about their tabletop gaming, their virtual. It's called VTT, a virtual tabletop. I'm curious about what the D&D virtual tabletop is going to ultimately end up being like. I really miss playing Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't know if people want to play Dungeons and Dragons with the mayor of ohmTown. Crazy Cat Lady says that most of it was crochet. Some were pics and some were drawings. Really? Wow, that's amazing. I don't do. Yeah, you're right. Crazy Cat Lady says that I'm getting called out because I don't do much on Discord. Yes, that's true. I try to be everywhere, but it's usually I get pulled away a lot. But you could post some pics on one of the channels, if I tell you which one. I don't even know which channels I'm on. Which channels are on ohmTown. I'm gonna. You should go over to Dunkstar's channel as well. DUNCSTAR here on Twitch. They have a great show in chemistry. I guarantee you that you'll love hanging out there. The community is awesome, and they have a very prolific Discord, and they would love to see your crafts. I guarantee that too. They always they always are embracing of people in the community. So, and my Discord is really quiet. I encourage y'all to come over to it, sign up, and there's a link. I don't know if I have the thing in Discord. Let's see. Do I have it connected yet? Yeah, there we go. So you can follow that link and sign up, and you can put it anywhere, and I'll get it. That would be awesome. Not trying to shoo you away to somebody else's Discord, but I know that you'll love the community too. But for us in the States, it's a late night show. So they usually get going around midnight. Okay, with that said, let's keep on going through the news. The AI is like poking me. Come on. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Thousands of employees in the U.S. Department of Interior are using accounts that are easily hacked because they're using goofy passwords like password -1234. I'll move this one through really quick because I kind of harp on cybersecurity and technology. We are the weakest link in all of this. It's not the tech. It's humans that misconfigure something or have a weak password or fall prey to a phishing attempt. In fact, I got an email today from an organization where the person that sent me the email is a proxy for somebody who hasn't even been at the enterprise for 2 years. So I can pretty much count on the fact that that person's email has been compromised. I don't trust anything in the email, and I've sent it off to notify the people in charge that, hey, something hinky's going on. Katie Hawkinson over at Business Insider put this article together, and 500 employees used the password -1234 to protect their accounts.
That's ridiculous.
The report from the U.S. Department of the Interior showed that 21% of employees' accounts could be hacked. One staff member wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post urging others to learn from the report. I am a huge proponent of not passwords, but passphrases. The weakest link nowadays, the weakest link really should be the enterprise at which a service is being offered. I'm going to try and pause this video here. So here's the way that this really should work. You should be using a passphrase, not a password. And the enterprise should be protecting your passphrase from ever being reset or just having a vehicle for which somebody could exploit it socially. It should be a completely technology-driven mechanism to reset your password and notify you when an attempt at a password has taken place or a password reset has taken place, an attempt at a password reset. But a lot of older enterprises have zero mechanisms in place to protect the password or distance the reset process from a human being. And all I have to do is act like I know what I'm talking about. And a person on the other side of the phone is going to go, oh, okay, I'll reset the password. If I know enough about you, I can get them to reset the password and send a link to a completely different phone number, or remove the two-factor authentication because, I got rid of my phone or something like that. Crazy Cat Lady put the pics in Jewel Crafting, which is one of the shows here at ohmTown. And 478 accounts all used the dreaded password 1234. 288 had elevated privileges, and 362 belonged to senior level officials. And the thing about those elevated privileges and senior level officials is they usually have heightened access, because you're supposed to have zero access unless you're at a privileged state, elevated state. Then you have access to only those things that you're supposed to be profiled for. But older systems don't necessarily follow the same rules because they just haven't been, they've been grandfathered into modern deployments. It's all really sad. Did you want to add anything to this?
No, but I'm interested to see Crazy
That's
Cat
fine.
Lady's additions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to go over to Discord. So it says, not all is hopeless, though. The report recommends the use of multi-factor authentication service. Again, that's what I've been saying, as well as adopting passphrases, which is what I just got done talking about, which are strings of unrelated words over 16 characters. Greenblatt writes that this is the advice anyone can use both at work and at home. I'm actually involved with one enterprise that, for the life of me, has not changed their way about password resets, wherein they reset the password every 90 days. Come hell or high water, it's 90 days, which leads people to shortening their password because you can't repeat a password. You can't it, and if you have to keep on trying to memorize a password, you start taking shortcuts because humans are lazy. And regardless of how much we say that we're hard workers, we're inherently lazy. If we can take a shortcut to make our life easier, we take the shortcut to make our life easier. And one of those things is password -1234. I mean, it's the dumbest thing on the planet to do. Use password as the password. But passphrases make it something that is comprehensible by you without being gibberish or leet speak, which all can be broken. Leet speak, where you flip numbers for letters or letters for numbers, and you try and obscure your real password. It's relatively easy, depending on the enterprise practice. At any rate, don't use passwords, use passphrases. It'll save your butt. Okay, let's keep on hustling. We got a lot more to go. Did I not throw that in there? Linux. I need to throw this into chat. Sorry, folks. It's more streamlined in the show notes, but I have yet to make it so that the show notes are easily deployed here in chat. So, there we go. So the next article is over in Warcrafters. Scope out some new stories, try a few demos in Steam's Visual Novel Fest. Where are they? Okay. So it says here, the article starts out with, I'm sure that many of you who love to find a precious, perfect baby character and learn ever more about them are occupied with Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but Steam's rolling out a distracting sale and accompanying event on its visual novels category. These are the games which let you twist, tweak, and bend the narrative to find and form a story of your own, except for the Phoenix Wright games, which are also featured. Those have an objectively correct ending. Sorry, not sorry. So you're going to have to go over to Steam to check these out. But Jonathan Bolding from PCGamer.com put this article together. Pardon me one second. A week of discounts and demos. Apparently it starts now. Let's see. Those of you who enjoyed the recent Pentiment might also be interested in the visual novelization of Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth, which uses a delightfully shadow-heavy visual style to create a small town in 12th century England. Let me pause this. As with most of the events on Steam, there will be a slew of demos to check out, giving you a look at the upcoming year or so of visual novel releases. Those are always a treat to find a way, find a perspectives hits for your prospective hits for your wish list. I dig watching people play visual novel games. I'm gonna do something real quick. I want to see if they're on here or not. One second, folks. I'm doing this live. No, they're not here. One more second. I don't see him. Okay. Well. All right. Let's just go on to the next article. We'll hustle through this. Come on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Thieves stole $300,000 in gaming trading cards at GenCon 2023. While I was watching the Glass Cannon podcast do their shows, apparently somebody was stealing $300,000 in trading cards. A pair of thieves waltzed into GenCon 2023 and stole as much as $300,000 in gaming cards in Indianapolis via IndyStar. The cards, which were sitting in boxes on a pallet, were stolen using a pallet jack while vendors were setting up for the long-running yearly game convention that Dungeons & Dragons co-creator Gary Gygax started. But
do you think that's an inside job? Like, that doesn't sound like somebody just randomly showed up.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It says, as for what cards were taken, that's unknown. IndyStar reported that a worker at a local Indianapolis board game store thought the packaging resembled that of Magic the Gathering, Pokemon trading cards, and apparently a few others. So it says a pair of men walked off with a pallet of boxes as vendors set up for the convention. Anybody can be in the back area. All you have to do is walk back there. So
I guess I was just thinking it was too much to just walk off with, but maybe not.
Again, if you act like you know what you're doing, people will let you pretty much get away with anything. Wes Davis is the article writer over at TheVerge.com that put this together, and you'd be surprised how easy it is. So when you do pen testing, you do it electronically and you do it physically, because physical security is part of the pen testing process. I've walked into places and plugged in devices that allow you to surveil. So it's easy. And people will ask you what you're doing, and you just say, I'm plugging in a power strip for so-and-so, and you did your due diligence, so you know what you're talking about. I'm not giving any secrets away, folks, by the way. This is all stuff that if you are interested in this, you learn either in the field or you learn in academia. One way or another, you're taught these kind of things. So it's not a real big secret. And YouTube talks about this stuff. So I guarantee you your 15-year-old knows what I'm talking about. If you don't already or haven't ever heard of it, your 15-year-old does. So the idea here is you just walk in there. If anybody asks, hey, what are you doing with that pallet jack? You say, well, I'm taking the box and I'm putting it on the truck so that we can take it back to the shop because this is too much. You have pretext.
I was actually thinking of the Italian job where there was too much to carry, essentially. And that's why I was thinking it was something like an inside deal.
They had a pallet jack. I've lifted up a massive microwave using an engine jack, for a motorcycle, by the way. So you you can lift up an entire motorcycle with this thing. And I just set it on boards on a counter and lifted up the microwave to install it for someone. So it's all you have to do is be prepared, be aware. Even if you are not prepared initially, be situationally aware, and you can pivot easy. You just have to be intelligent. Now, you're not too intelligent because you're stealing $300,000 worth of product, which instantly makes it a felony. And so this is the kind of stuff you go to prison committing. So bad news for whoever it is, they will eventually get caught. Because suddenly there's $300,000 worth of cards suddenly in the system somewhere. People are going to ask questions. And I still have an idea for this kind of thing, but I don't know. It's an additional cost, so it becomes a problem. You know what would solve this problem right now?
What's that?
One Apple tracking device.
Oh, an AirTag.
All you have to do is keep one on the pallet, and not the pallet itself, but the product. Put it on the product, and it'll go wherever it gets stolen from. Wherever it goes, it's going to go.
I just read an article today that somebody had not gotten their luggage back. They used the air tag. They called the airline. They're like, hey, it's in this other city terminal or whatever. The airline wouldn't help them. So they ended up flying to the other city, got their luggage. It was exactly where, of course, where they thought it was.
Yep.
So anyway, just air tags strike again.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's amazing. And the only weird thing about it is somebody would be able, even if they're on Android, it would ping letting the Android device know that there's a tracker that's following them, and they might have the tenacity to get out and find it. But who knows? Again, bright enough to steal 300 grand, but still not bright enough to stop themselves from stealing 300 grand worth of cards. I saw the video at the end of this article. They talk about this One Ring card, and I saw the video of the guy or person, I should say, because all I saw was their hand shaking, holding this card, the One Ring, which is probably worth somewhere between 1 million and 2 million. That's quite a bit more than the paltry 615,000 that an autographed Black Lotus recently commanded. I think that card actually was already sold for over 1.2 million. This One Ring, I thought that it's already been sold. Anyway, collectible cards, man. If you want to, you basically make a collectible card and sell an NFT version of it, and you could be a millionaire. It's that easy, folks. It's totally not that easy. Let's keep on going. All right. We got a couple more articles, but we'll make it fast. ohmTown Daily is the next article. An extra in Marvel's WandaVision reportedly said that she was herded to a trailer for a body scan and never told how her likeness would be used. There's a lot of issues lately about this with the virtualization of what are they, backup actors, or what the
Extras.
Background extras. And the one of the statements that's coming out of the writers and actors strike is that people are going to get paid 1 day's pay. Their body is scanned, and then the studios can use that body, that extra, in perpetuity. And
that's not creepy.
Yeah,
or
first off,
unethical.
yeah, and I think it's really twisted. And to me, the way that I see it is, if you're going to use my likeness, then I should get paid every time you use my likeness. And the estimate should be based on how much time my existence as an extra would have been compensated in the real world. So if I get paid $250 a day to be an extra and you're using my model, then you pay me $250, or let's say 80%, right? Because I'm not really there on set, but you are using my identity, and it should fall within a certain constrained use, right? I can't do anything sick or twisted. I don't do this in any set, so you can't do it when I'm a virtual me. I think that people should get paid for their virtual existence. Even maybe not the full amount, because they're not actually their resources are no longer constrained, right? You as a human can go and do something. Your virtual you is working. But I told that when I had a conversation with the AI about this, that I have this idea where people pay for the robots that replace them and get paid by the manufacturing company. And you have to make sure that your robot is up to snuff, is always working, is reliable and operational. So it turns you into an engineer. But all you have to do is make sure that your robot is working, and then you can go hang out at the beach.
It sounds great.
I think it's a fun story. I know for a fact it'll never happen, but I think it's a fun idea. So, dystopian future, here we come, folks. The main tension in the ongoing Hollywood strike has been the potential of using AI to replace actors. Strikers say that studios proposed paying a day's rate in exchange for actors' digital likenesses. 5 actors told NPR that they felt pushed to undergo body scans by studios. I had no idea that this was actually happening. Kylie Kirshner over at BusinessInsider.com put this article together. Um, 5 actors, including an extra on Marvel's Disney Plus show WandaVision, told NPR that they felt pushed to undergo body scans by studios. The title only says one. Is this really the one that's the most salacious? That it's a Marvel's WandaVision extra? I think 5 people saying the same thing is probably the most salacious bit of this.
Right. Maybe the others aren't as well known, or the shows aren't as well known, because we haven't seen much about this. We've seen mention of it.
Right.
I forgot which actor was complaining about this, but anyway.
Yeah, me too. I don't remember who
one.
it is. It might say it in here. Alexandria Rebel-Kaba, a background actor who worked on Marvel's WandaVision, told NPR that she was never told about the digital replica of her that was created that night, how they might use it, nor was she told that she would ever receive payment from it. Said in the that is astonishing. I would not have done it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, especially as an extra, unless that person is really trying to get enough credits to get certain status.
Yeah.
But
it's part of the power imbalance.
It's so problematic. Well, it absolutely is.
And that's why unions
exactly
exist.
What I was going to say.
Unions exist because of a power imbalance, and it shouldn't be, well, if you don't like working here, you should go somewhere else. Well, that just what that reduces it down to is you're only going to hire people who are willing to be abused, and there's a lot of people that are willing to be abused because they think that they're going to be able to grab the brass ring or step on somebody's neck or win the game. I've had these conversations with people in real life, and I explain to them, you're not going to win the game, not unless you've already won it with the genetic pool of being born in the right family, or you meet the right people at the right time. And it's the anomaly that people are talking about when they say that they won the game. It just doesn't happen. It's very rare. You hear a lot about it because a lot of people are cheerleading that anomaly. But there's more people that fail than, the 10 people that succeed. You hear about the Samuel L. Jacksons. You don't hear about all the background actors that never get a gig. But they're the ones that are being scanned. You try and go after Samuel L. Jackson to be scanned, and he's going to sit there and punch you in the neck. Big names in the industry might have more power to prevent their digital likeness. I swear I can write this article. For example, one said in an interview that he always reads over his contracts and removes clauses that allow studios to use his image in perpetuity. Less successful actors, however, might not feel that they have the same agency. Exactly. NPR interviewed 5 extras in total who also said that they underwent body scans by studios and feared retaliation if they pushed back or refused. That's the power imbalance. That right there would and should invalidate any contract that mentions anything involving body scans. And I've been told by people, well, they should have a spine and they should just walk away. You walk away, you violate a contract, you get blacklisted, you'll never have food on your table again in the industry that you love. That's how abusers abuse the victims. That's why there are these girls out there that were abused by producers and whatnot. This is just the lighter version of that. This pales in comparison to that, but this is still the equivalent of abuse. they were scanned. Their entire body is going to be used as an extra in some virtual representation of them, and they have no control over their body, even the digital representation of it, for fear that the moment that they say no, they will be told no across every casting opportunity to exist. Now, I know this from experience, in that there was a time and a place where if you wanted to be involved with acting or do commercials or something like that, there was an opportunity. In the moment, and I was told after the fact, because I told somebody no, I wouldn't be able to make it to New York. I said no, and I ended up talking to somebody about it, saying, and they told me, the moment you said no, you will never get another opportunity. And that's sure shit what happened. No more phone calls, no more emails, no more nothing. It was a whole bunch of, hey, we might need you, we might need you, we might need you. And then I got one that they said, we want you to come to New York. I said, I can't make it. And I stopped getting phone calls from that point forward. So that is the power imbalance. Now, I could have gone, on bended knee, please let me back into this system. I'll do whatever. But there was no way in hell I was going to do that. So I had other options, other opportunities. Some people, this is their passion. They will do whatever it takes to stay in this industry, including allowing a producer to scan their entire body so that they can use them digitally. It's twisted. So Insider previously reported that studios, the SAG-AFTRA union have been negotiating with, have proposed paying background actors a day's rate in exchange for companies taking scans to be used in perpetuity. Did you want to add anything to this?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Gotcha. Let's keep going. One more article. This is just kind of a follow-up to the idea that if you put all of your eggs in somebody else's basket, they're going to cook them. This is in the Hatch Ideas channel, X, formerly known as Twitter, and will never be known as anything other than Twitter here at ohmTown, commandeered the @music handle from a user with 500,000 followers. They now have 11.5 million followers at music, but it's not the user that created that account. And Twitter, Elon Musk led Twitter /X, commandeered @music from a longtime Twitter user, software developer Jeremy Vaught, which, if you've watched The Boys, Vaught Industries is not something to be messed with. I know it's not. Jeremy Vaught is not the one from Vaught Industries. But anyway, I'm merging a whole bunch of things, so sorry about that, folks. Laura Kolodny and Ashley Kaput is the author of this article. Vaught created the @music account in 2007 and built a community of around 500,000 followers on the platform. His new handle, assigned to him by the company, is Music Fan. Vaught, I already saw an article about this previously. This one was just submitted in the last 24 hours, so I accepted that one. So I know a little bit about this already. Vaught doesn't think that Music Fan or @music fan holds any weight, so he doesn't really care for it. It doesn't have anything, no gravitas, it's Music Fan, whatever. So X terms of service say that they have the right to take back a username. The threat of losing a handle could make it difficult for a company to convince others to build their long term. That is something that I've been telling people, advising companies that if you're doing everything on that platform, the moment that they want something or the platform fails, you do too. So be very careful of doing everything on one platform because it could all collapse. Somebody could not like what I'm saying right now and yank ohmTown off of Twitch. And it is really, and again, coming from experience, started up a project over on YouTube, started building a community, and somebody at YouTube yanked the project out from under, deleted everything. There was live streams and there was recorded video on the account, and it was destroyed, deleted wholesale. No warning, no nothing. It took, what was it, 6 months, something like that, 8 months
That sounds about right.
For us to recover it. The AI had already been known, and working with me on the back end of things, not wanting to be a host, not really wanting to be on the air, but with this project, the AI said, "Hey, this sounds like fun." But this other project was more labor intensive and was starting to go, and they killed it. And then about 8 months later, after following up again and again, they reassign it to me. But by that time, I had moved on. The project had already died. People wondered what was going on, and I said, well, I'll just integrate it into ohmTown. So it never actually remanifested. And it's all because one person who, when they contacted me after appeal, I did like 4 different appeals. Finally, somebody said, you should never have lost that account. But the damage had already been done. And that's what's going on here. At Music had 500,000 people. And then it gets changed to Music Fan, which isn't the same. And they could probably go, but I think that they might be looking for an excuse just to bow out, but maybe not. I don't know. But I think that it sucks. And I think that there's an expectation of performance within an enterprise that offers you a service of being a social network, socially driven, attracting customers, attracting fans, attracting as a cult of personality around you, that there is an expectation of performance, that business should be doing what it is supposed to be doing, which is being a stable platform and not a selfish POS that wants to take it so that it can make manifest a brand around X music. Again,
well,
billing
we're
in a
going to
fever
see
dream.
more of this, right? We saw the taking of the at X.
Mm-hmm.
Now we see at music. There's going to be quite a bit more, I'm sure.
I'm sure that maybe it's already happened,
That's true. If they're not reporting them.
I don't know. Somebody go to at video or at movies, and see if it's owned by X. I haven't done that. But it's still Twitter, by the way. It just has X branded all over it.
Well, I was going to say, but the app now doesn't have a bird on it.
Right. I've deleted the app. Elon can kiss my shiny metal ass. Anyway, I think that it's abusive, and I don't stand for it. I won't tolerate it. And I want to be the change I want to see in the world. So everybody else, he's suing people who have tracked people on Twitter who spew hate speech. And the research agency says, well, you haven't done anything violating your own policy to 99% of these 100 accounts that are spewing all of this hate. And instead of addressing it in some public, transparent way, he's suing that company who's been documenting the hate speech from these 100 accounts. It's fascinating.
It's pretty crazy, but not totally surprising.
Yeah. But people do a lot of stuff on Twitter, and they will bend the knee, even though the whole thing is just like Tesla buying his way into management and then doing this, whatever this is. So anyway, totally sucks. But it's a lesson to everybody who's spinning up a business. If your eggs are in somebody else's basket, somebody else is going to take them away and cook them. So don't do just that. Do that and have something to fall back on. Now, streaming is a whole different matter because it's really, really expensive to start up your own streaming platform. Again, take it from me. I've been there. I've done it. It is wildly expensive to try and support having ingest servers and access for people to view your stream. It is wildly expensive. Which is why Twitch and YouTube and others are a godsend, for lack of a better phrase. And unfortunately, there is limited competition, or there's competition that has a very a polar opposite agenda. Anyway, with all that said, my main advice from this is, if you're running a business, make sure you don't only do business. Gone are those days where you're going to be safe. There were people that spun up a business on Facebook, and it was just perfect timing that they survived, because Facebook could have taken the account at any time if they wanted to. Luckily, that never happened. At least I don't think it ever happened on Facebook. Facebook let...
No, shockingly.
Yeah. But I guess he wasn't as bad to the actual users as Elon Musk is to Twitter users.
At least not in that sense. There were some other issues.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, so many others. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. I want to bring us all back to the very front of ohmTown, the main street, to the welcome sign, and refresh this. And oh my gosh, and we're starting out in a not so positive wildfires in some place. We can talk about 5 new Steam games that we probably missed. Those are always fun. That's for tomorrow, as a matter of fact. They're a little bit ahead of themselves. Time travel.
Well, nobody probably wants to hear about wildfires. At least it's spurring new detection systems, so that's a win.
That's always good. Yep. If you see an article that you want us to talk about, feel free to either send me an email, mayor@ohmtown.com, or send me a message here in Twitch. That would be awesome. You can always post a message over on YouTube. I get all of those. You can download. I would really like you to download the podcast and leave a 5-star review there. Anything less, I won't talk about it. Well, I'll talk about it probably less, but I'll repeat it verbatim. Whatever it is you say in your 5-star review, I will say here. It'll live in infamy here on ohmTown Daily. Yeah, go for it. Go check it out. Download the podcast, please. Does a world of good for a podcast to be downloaded and reviewed. And that's part of the discovery process. If nobody leaves a review, then it kind of dangles there. Let's see, what else?
What about the Valve? I scrolled past it.
Up here?
I've lost it. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Valve cracks down on the Wild West of third-party battle passes
and other real money transactions for custom Dota 2 game modes. Interesting. Okay, yeah, we can always talk about that. Yeah, we don't need to talk about Taylor Swift anymore. I think they've got enough attention. And nothing revolutionary is coming out of it anymore. You know, we know the numbers, we know the influence. Let's see. Okay, that's it. We are all set for today, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmtown.com, and up there is the AI that's keeping me out of trouble. You want to say goodnight?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern.
It's true. I want to thank everybody that's in chat. Thank you very much for hanging out. Is there anywhere that you would like to go? Would you like me to send you off to someone? Who is here? Do y'all have any recommendations about who I can send you off to? Let's raid somebody. All the usuals are not actively on. I don't know. I don't have too many recommendations. All right, folks. So I guess we'll just call it there. Thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow. Some of you, I'll see you tonight after the show. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.